My mother abandoned me when I was 4 years old. 21 years later, she reappears, demanding I donate a kidney. But I sued her, and she ended up arrested for harassment. I'm 25 years old. I work in it as a software developer. I'm engaged to the most incredible woman in the world named Danielle. And 6 months ago, my life turned into a nightmare when the woman who abandoned me when I was 4 years old decided it was a good time to reappear. The thing is, when I say she abandoned me, I'm not exaggerating or being dramatic. She literally left me with the neighbors one day and never came back. So, I guess I should start there. At the beginning, although the truth is I don't remember much from those early years because, well, I was 4 years old. What I do know, because they told me later, is that Angela, my biological mother, showed up one day at some neighbor's house with a small suitcase, left me there saying she'd be back in a few hours, and simply vanished. The neighbors waited one day, then two, then a week, and nothing. They called social services and that whole horrible process started. But this is where my story stops being completely tragic because it turns out my Aunt Joyce, who was technically my great aunt or something like that, found out what had happened and basically said, "That boy is coming with me." And that's how I ended up being officially adopted by the woman I considered my real mom. Auntie Joyce, as everyone called her, raised me as if I were her biological son, gave me all her love, worked 2 jobs so I wouldn't lack anything, helped me with homework, came to all my soccer games in high school, cried the day I graduated from college, all those things a real mother does. I grew up happy, honestly. I had my cousin Liam, who was like my brother. We lived on the same street and were inseparable. We had my grandparents who spoiled us on weekends. A normal and loving family. I knew Auntie Joyce wasn't my biological mom. I mean, that was always clear because she never lied to me about it. But it wasn't until I turned 18 that I sat down with her and we had the complete conversation about what had really happened. She told me the details of how Angela had abandoned me, how nobody knew where she was, how she had tried to locate her at first, but it was like she had erased herself from the map. I remember asking her if she had ever tried to contact me, and Auntie Joyce told me, no, not once in 14 years, not a call, not a letter, nothing. And I thought, okay, that's all I need to know. That woman is not my mother, period. I moved on with my life. I graduated in computer science, got an incredible job at a tech company where I basically design software and earn well. Met Danielle 3 years ago at a tech conference. She works in digital marketing. And we got engaged last year. Everything was going perfect, you know what I mean? I had my apartment, my friends, my family who loved me, a solid career, and zero interest in searching for ghosts from the past. But it turns out that ghosts from the past sometimes come looking for you. It was in March of this year. I was checking Instagram during my lunch break, scrolling without thinking much, when I saw a message request from someone I wasn't following. I opened the message and it said something like, "Hi, Vincent. I know this must be a huge surprise, but I'm your mom, Angela, and I would really like to be able to talk to you, if you're willing to give me that opportunity." It included her phone number and everything. I just stared at the screen for like 5 minutes, unable to process what I had just read. Like, after 21 years, she just shows up in my Instagram messages like nothing? Seriously? I showed Danielle the message that night, and she was just as shocked as I was. She asked me what I wanted to do, and honestly, I had no idea. Part of me felt curious. I'm not going to lie, like I wanted to know why she had done it, where she had been all these years. But another part of me, the rational part, told me this wasn't going to end well. I told Auntie Joyce and her reaction was very clear. She said, "Honey, you're an adult and you can make your own decisions, but that woman hurt you in the worst possible way and you don't owe her anything, absolutely nothing." Liam was more direct. He told me, "Bro, that lady abandoned you. What more do you need to know?" But my therapist, Dr. Morgany, started therapy like 2 years ago to work on some anxiety issues, suggested that if I felt I needed answers to close that chapter, I could consider at least listening to what she had to say, but that I should establish very clear boundaries from the beginning. So after thinking about it for 2 weeks, I decided to respond to her. I sent her a very short message saying I was willing to meet once, just once, in a public place, to hear what she had to say. She responded super fast, like in 2 minutes, saying yes, whenever I wanted, that she was available. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop near my work on a Saturday afternoon. I told Danielle to wait for me in the car in case I needed to leave quickly. And she agreed, although she was super worried about me. I arrived at the coffee shop like 10 minutes early because I'm one of those people who hates being late. Ordered a coffee and sat at a table near the exit. Angela arrived exactly on time. I recognized her immediately, even though I had never seen her in photos. I don't know how to explain it, but there was something in her face that looked like mine. Or me like her, I guess. She would have been like 46 years old. He did the math mentally. She looked good, put together, with expensive clothes, definitely didn't look like someone who was going through hardships. She approached my table with a huge smile, and for a second I thought she was going to try to hug me, but I stayed seated and just nodded my head. She caught the vibe and sat across from me. She started with the speech she had probably rehearsed 1,000 times. That she had been very young when she got pregnant, that she wasn't prepared to be a mother, that she made the worst mistake of her life by abandoning me, that not a day went by without thinking about me, that she had tried to find me but didn't know where to start. All that basic shit they probably tell all absent parents they should say when they want to reconnect. I let her talk without interrupting her. I just looked at her and tried to find something. I don't know, some emotion? But I felt nothing. It was like watching a stranger tell me a sad story about someone else. When she finished, she asked me if I had questions, and I asked her the only one that mattered to me. Why now? Why after 21 years do you decide to look for me right now? And that's where things started to get weird. She was quiet for a moment, took a sip of her coffee, which she had ordered while talking, and said something about being in therapy, that she had worked on herself, that now she was in a better place emotionally and felt she was ready to be part of my life. But then she dropped something that made all my alarms go off, she said. And the truth is, I'm also going through a difficult time financially, and I thought maybe we could support each other, like family. There it is, I thought. There's the real reason. I told her very clearly. Look, Angela, I appreciate that you were honest with me today, but the reality is that you are not my mother. Not in any real sense of the word. My mother is Joyce, the woman who raised me, who loved me, who was there at every important moment of my life. You are just the person who gave birth to me and then decided I wasn't worth staying for. I don't owe you anything. I don't want a relationship with you, and I'm definitely not going to give you money. Her face completely changed. From that fake smile to an expression like surprise and indignation. She started saying it wasn't fair, that she had made a mistake but was still my mother, that I owed her at least one chance. I stood up, told her the conversation was over, and left. Danielle saw me come out and knew immediately it hadn't gone well. In the car, I told her everything, and she hugged me and told me I had done the right thing. I thought that would be the end of the story, that Angela would understand the message and disappear again. But oh man, was I wrong. A week later, I received a message from an unknown number. It was a guy named Nicholas who said he was Angela's husband. The message said basically, "Hi, Vincent. I'm Nicholas, Angela's husband. I just found out about your existence and I'm in shock. Angela had told me she had no children. I would like to talk to you if possible." This was getting more and more bizarre. I responded and explained the situation briefly, that Angela had abandoned me as a child, that we had a meeting where she had asked for money, and that I didn't want to have contact with her. Nicholas responded, apologizing for bothering me and saying he completely understood my position, that he also couldn't believe Angela had lied to him about something so important during all the years they had been married, like 8 years, according to what he told me. I thought Nicholas seemed like a decent guy, and that he was probably also a victim of Angela's lies. But what I didn't expect was that 2 days later, Angela would start bombarding me with messages. Not from Instagram this time, but from different phone numbers, as if she were buying disposable SIM cards or something. The messages ranged from dramatic please son, give me a chance, I just want to get to know you, to more aggressive things, you'll regret treating me like this. I'm your mother, and you owe me respect. I blocked every number she used, but more kept coming. Danielle suggested I change my number, but I refused. Why should I change my life because of this woman? I decided to write her a letter. Yes, an old-school physical letter that I sent to the address Nicholas had given me. He gave it to me when I told him about the harassment and said he also wanted Angela to stop contacting me. I was very clear and direct. I told her she had to respect my boundaries, that I didn't want any kind of relationship with her, that if she kept contacting me I was going to take legal action, and that any future communication would be considered harassment. I sent the letter certified to have proof that she had received it. There was silence for 2 weeks, and I started to relax, thinking she had finally understood. But then I received a message from a new number, and when I opened it, it wasn't Angela who was writing. It was someone who said she was her daughter. My half-sister, apparently. A girl about 15 years old named Emma, although I never confirmed if that was really her name or if it was Angela pretending to be her daughter. The message said, "Hi, I know you don't know me, but I'm your sister. Mom is very sick and needs a kidney transplant. The doctors say a direct relative would be the best donor. Please, she needs you." I just stared at the message, unable to believe what I was reading. Seriously? Now it turns out this whole reconnection wasn't just about money, but because she needed one of my organs? I forwarded the message to Nicholas asking him if it was true, and he responded, "Yes, it's true that Angela needs a kidney transplant. I just found out myself too. But I don't agree with her contacting you about this. I'm very sorry, Vincent." I called Auntie Joyce crying from rage. She was furious. She told me that woman was a monster. How dare she show up after 21 years only because she needed something from me? Danielle was just as outraged. Liam literally wanted to go find Angela and yell everything at her. But I just felt empty, like betrayed in a way I didn't even know was possible. I ignored the supposed sister's message. But 3 days later, Angela and Nicholas showed up at the coffee shop near my office. As if they knew my routine. They had probably been stalking me on social media or something. They intercepted me when I was going out for lunch. Angela looked terrible. Much worse than at our first meeting. Obviously, the kidney disease was affecting her. Nicholas looked uncomfortable, like he didn't want to be there. I tried to walk past, but Angela blocked my path and started begging. "Please, Vincent, I just need you to get some tests done. To see if you're compatible, that's all." I told her, "No, get away from me," but she kept insisting, grabbing my arm. Nicholas finally intervened and pulled her away from me, apologizing. I told them that if they approached me again, I was going to call the police, and I left. When I got to the office, I was shaking from anger and adrenaline. My boss, Mr. Matthews, saw me and asked me if I was okay. I told him a summarized version of what was happening, and he was very understanding. He told me that if I needed time off or if there were problems to let him know immediately. I thought that had been the end of the physical confrontations, but I was very wrong. Like 5 days passed, and then I received a call from Mr. Matthews himself. He told me we needed to talk urgently. I went to his office, and he explained that he had received a call from a woman named Angela who said she was my mother, and that she had made very serious accusations about me, saying I had stolen money from her, that I was violent, that I had drug problems, basically trying to destroy my professional reputation. Mr. Matthews told me that obviously he didn't believe any of that he knew my work and my character, but that he wanted me to know what was happening. I couldn't believe Angela had gone that far. Like, trying to sabotage my career because I didn't want to donate a kidney to her? Seriously? That day after work, I went straight to the law firm that Danielle had researched. I met with a lawyer named Sarah Chen, who specialized in harassment and defamation cases. I told her the whole story from the beginning, showed her all the messages, told her about the confrontation at the coffee shop, about the call to my work. She told me I had a very solid case for a restraining order and possibly a defamation lawsuit. She told me to document absolutely everything, not to respond to any more messages, not to have any direct contact with Angela. I decided to do something I never thought I would do. Tell my story publicly. I wrote a long post on Facebook explaining the situation without giving full names, but giving enough details. And the response was overwhelming. Hundreds of people shared their own stories of absent parents, family manipulation, people who only show up when they need something. Many told me I was doing the right thing, that I didn't owe Angela anything. I also created a blog, where I wrote the complete story with more details, because I felt I needed to get it all out, that keeping this inside was destroying me. The lawyer filed the restraining order request and also a defamation lawsuit against Angela for the call to my work. We had to go to a hearing in 2 weeks. During that time, Angela kept trying to contact me through different means. Now even through LinkedIn, which was completely ridiculous. Every contact attempt I documented and sent to my lawyer. The day of the hearing arrived and Angela showed up with Nicholas and a lawyer. She looked terrible, with dark circles, thinner. Obviously, the disease was progressing. Part of me felt sorry. I'm not going to lie, because at the end of the day, she's a sick human being. But then I remembered everything she had done. Not just recently, but 21 years ago. And that pity disappeared. The judge heard both sides. My lawyer presented all the messages, the testimonies from my boss about the defamatory call, Danielle's testimony about the confrontations, everything. Angela's lawyer tried to argue that she was a desperate sick mother trying to reconnect with her son, that her actions had been driven by fear of dying without making peace with me. The judge wasn't manipulated. He approved the restraining order, ordering Angela not to come within 200 meters of me, my home, my work, not to contact me by any means, direct or indirect. Regarding the defamation, he ordered the case to proceed to trial, but strongly suggested we seek a settlement out of court. As we were leaving the courthouse, Nicholas approached me. Technically, he didn't violate the restraining order, because it was only for Angela, and told me, "I'm very sorry for all of this. I'm going to divorce her. I can't be with someone capable of doing what she did. I wish you the best, Vincent." I thought I could finally have peace, but Angela and Nicholas, before they separated, I guess, made one last desperate attempt. One night, around 10 p.m., Danielle and I were watching Netflix in my apartment when someone knocked on the door insistently. I looked through the peephole, and it was Angela with Nicholas. She was screaming, "Please, Vincent, just listen to me. We'll pay you. Whatever, $50,000 for your kidney, just get tested." Danielle called 911 immediately, while I recorded everything from the peephole with my phone. I yelled at them to leave, that the police were on their way, but Angela kept banging on the door and screaming. The police arrived in like 7 minutes. When they saw there was a restraining order in effect, they arrested Angela on the spot. Nicholas wasn't arrested because technically he wasn't included in the order, but the police warned him to leave and not come back. Angela was going handcuffed to the patrol car, screaming that I was killing her, that it was my fault if she died. What kind of son lets his mother die? The neighbors came out to see what was happening. It was horrible and humiliating, but I also felt like a strange relief, like it was finally over. Angela spent that night in jail, and the next day had a hearing for violating the restraining order. The judge was not kind to her at all, told her she had had every opportunity in the world to respect legal boundaries, and that she had chosen to violate them in the most flagrant way possible. They sentenced her to 30 days in jail, although she would probably serve less for good behavior, and extended the restraining order for 2 more years. My lawyer called to tell me and asked if I wanted to go forward with the defamation lawsuit. Honestly, I was already exhausted. So I told her I would accept a settlement if Angela signed something agreeing never to contact me again and publicly retracting the false accusations she had made to my work. She accepted the terms, probably because she didn't want more legal problems. 3 months have passed since then. Angela got out of jail after 18 days, and according to what I heard from Nicholas, who wrote to me once to update me and then promised not to contact me anymore, she found a donor on the waiting list and is recovering from the transplant. I'm happy for her, I guess, in the sense that I don't want any human being to die, but I don't feel anything beyond that. The divorce between her and Nicholas was finalized a few weeks ago. He lost a lot of money in the process, but told me it was worth it to escape that situation. Auntie Joyce has hugged me like 1,000 times since all this ended, telling me how proud she is of how I handled the situation, that I established firm boundaries, that I didn't let myself be manipulated. Danielle and I moved the wedding date to next summer. We decided to wait a bit after all this stress. Liam took me out for beers last week and told me, "Bro, you're the strongest person I know," and that meant more to me than he probably imagines. I'm still going to therapy with Dr. Morgan, now twice a week, processing everything, working on forgiving myself for the moments when I doubted if I had done the right thing. The truth is, sometimes I still wonder if I was too harsh, if I should have at least considered getting the compatibility tests done. But then I remember that Angela didn't come looking for a genuine relationship. She came looking for an organ, and that's no basis for any kind of family reconnection. I remember that she abandoned me when I was a defenseless child who needed her, and that now she expected me to save her when she needed me. I remember all the lies, the manipulation, the threats, the attempt to destroy my career, and then I know I made the right decision. Yesterday, Danielle and I were cooking dinner together, and she asked me how I felt now that it was all over. I told her the truth, that I feel liberated, that I feel like I closed a chapter I never asked to open, that I'm at peace with my decision. She hugged me and told me she loved me, and in that moment, I realized that this is what matters. The people who choose to stay, who choose to love you unconditionally, not those who only show up when they need something from you. My family is Auntie Joyce, Liam, my grandparents, Danielle, the people who were always there. Angela was just a stranger who shared my DNA and then decided that gave her the right to my body and my life. I don't owe her anything. I never owed her anything.